We haven't paid $1 in endorsements, not because I don't think it's a good idea, but we haven't had the capital to do so. But it's helped shape a way more authentic story. These ambassadors, or as we call them, are ambassadors. And that's a way we've been really able to market to the masses, especially Bootstrapped.
What is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received that you want to share with the audience?
Celebrating and stacking the small wins is incredibly important. If there are any shortcuts to entrepreneurship, you're in it for the long haul. I think 3 or 4 years until we made like our first dollar in sales. Celebrate each milestone because that's what's going to kind of fuel you to the next milestone. Cherish it for a second, soak it in like, hey, I did this. I didn't think I was going to get here. And then let that propel you to the next one.
Does diversification mean that you also have to consider, is it going to be sacrificing quality? Like, is there a scenario where you would say the costs are too much, but the brand has to live on, so we need to lower the quality of our products?
Once you start to compromise on quality, you are diluting your brand and your product. That's very hard to recover. We've spent 6 years trying to build a really good brand and a really good quality reputation, a lifetime to build, a day to ruin.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I'm your host, Vin End.
And I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by my man, Ryan Lane. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks so much, guys. Great to be here and really excited to chat.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a great episode. Guys, Ryan has built a phenomenal company. He's got these amazing bags. I'm not going to spoil for you. You're just going to have to listen to hear more about them. But they are probably some of the up and coming best bags you've never heard of. Today, we're going to make sure you hear about them. Ryan's going to talk about what it's been like on his entrepreneur journey, how he's been building this, him and his co-founder. And he's going to talk, and this is something I'm really interested in. He's going to talk a lot about what it actually took to kind of get this thing up and running. A lot of the times we hear about CPG products and founders and how the hell do you start? What do you do? He's got a lot of great tips on how to source product, how to prepare for all these crazy things. Like the guy experienced COVID, tariffs, you name it, he's kind of been navigating it. So he's going to get into a lot of the really good information in the weeds around what it took to build such a powerful brand, how he's been doing it. And if you stick around, you might learn a thing or two, especially if you're an aspiring CPG founder. So guys, I'm excited to present this episode to you today. We're about to get into it. Let's get it done. All right, Ryan. So tell the audience a little bit about who you are, the journey, what you've built, and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Ryan, about 30 years old, living in New York City, born and raised. And after spending about 8 years in the corporate world, I came from a real estate background, which I really enjoyed. However, was just fighting an entrepreneurial itch, had a creative itch to scratch, and also found that there was a lack of products that I needed for my day-to-day, one of which being just an all-in great travel bag. I called up one of my closest friends. We've been friends since we were 6 years old. His name's Xander. And I was telling him about this problem I was having where I'd essentially wake up every morning, go from my apartment to try to get to the gym early, go from the gym to an office, go from the office to happy hour, client dinner, date, or whatever it was, and constantly struggling with the fact that I was just carrying multiple bags, gym bags and garment bags and briefcases. They didn't look good. They were embarrassing to lug around the office. Functionally, they just didn't serve the purpose that they needed. And I was like, there's got to be something out there. And if not, I think it's something we should do. So we put our heads together. We said, let's see if we could solve this, and eventually built what is now FTL, which stands for the love. We quit our jobs about a year and a half ago and have been scaling our original product, the FTL Pro, and then a variation, the FTL Lite and FTL Max, for the last few years.
I love that. Why do you guys call it For the Love? Is it like one of those moments where, things go wrong and you're just like, for the love of God, I wish I had a better way?
Pretty much. I like that. We hear a lot of, people say that the first question is always, what does FTL stand for? We say it stands for the love. And they're like, for the love of what? And we say, that's for you to decide. And that truly is the mission behind the company. It started with just one product that we tried to build to solve a problem. But really, over the last 5-6 years since we've been building these products and living it every day, it's ballooned into this grander mission where it's celebrate great days. And here's a product to help you achieve them. So it's really just for the love of whatever makes you tick. We were putting our heads together, trying to find out, what should we call this company? What does it stand for? And we went through thousands and thousands of names, and we put those words together. We're like, all right, we like this. And then we're like, it's called FTL, for the love. And that's how we got there. So you pretty much hit it spot on.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys got a great, it is my understanding that there's a little bit of a logo that you guys have, not a logo, sorry, a phrase, do more, carry less for urban professionals, right? Like, I love that. It's very simple. It's sleek. It's kind of like Nike's just do it, right? Yep. It's super simple, but really straight to the point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate you recognizing that. That's for sure a part of the mission as well. It's do more, make the most of your days. And that's something that, again, we're trying to build a brand around, whatever you do, whether you're, in corporate world, or whether you're an entrepreneur, or whether you're in hospitality or anything in transportation, whatever it is, here are products to help you unlock those best days where you don't have to worry about taking your garment bag and a briefcase and a gym bag and putting it all together. Like, it's one product that really looks good no matter the setting, whether that be in the airport, whether that be on the road, in a gym, in an office, etc. But that's exactly right. Do more, carry less, ditch all the other bags, and have those great days.
I mean, before I talk about, essentially taking apart the whole business and getting into the mind of Ryan, the very first question I have is, do you have one right now? Can I see it? What makes it so different? Is it separations, or like, I want to see this bad boy. I'm sure all of our listeners want to see it too. I know there's going to be links.
All right. I wasn't prepared for this, but I have one pretty much attached to my hip at all times. So I'm going to just reach down here and bring it up. So this is our FTL Pro.
Sound to it there.
This was our hero product.
It's
and
nice thick quality.
It's things that like you can't see obviously in the screen, but it's a waterproof. It's called a polyurethane rubberized cotton. So the material was inspired by this company that out of Scandinavia doing raincoats. We were looking for something that was sleek, but more modern looking than the typical ballistic nylon or leather. And the material was one of the hardest things for us to solve because we didn't know what the material was. We just had this weird vision in our mind of what we wanted it to be. And we were going into stores, like not just bag stores, but clothing stores and anything for inspiration. And Xander came across this company, quite a store in the West Village. And he's like, dude, I think I just found our material. And yeah, so that was that. But here's the bag. Give you a little walkthrough. We have a shoe compartment here. So you can get, shoes all the way through. Put them in toe to toe, and that keeps them organized. We've got a little laptop.
Up to what sizes? Just curious, up to what sizes?
We get that question all the time. So I have seen size 15 shoes fit in here. There's a specific way to put it in where they don't take up too much space, but I've had customers with size 15 feet be able to get it in there. High tops and boots, I'm not gonna guarantee that, but loafers or normal sneakers, sure enough.
Yeah.
And then the big kind of differentiator as well is this fold out packing cube functionality. So we developed this packing cube here that you can essentially keep sweaters, anything, button-down shirts, just regular lifestyle clothes on the, and then additionally, if you want it, boom, garment bag in there, jacket, can get a suit in there, shirts, etc. It comes with a customized hanger. And if you're like, I don't really want to use this, you just leave it at home. Some other pockets here, and that's and then obviously like the main interior pocket, lots of space here. It's a little one of my favorites, the trinket pocket up here, like keys, AirPod, etc. Stuff. You're tired of stuff getting lost into the depths of the bag.
Hate that, digging through the bag to find one damn thing.
That's pretty much it. Oops.
The best part about that bag, because every time, like I'm leaving tomorrow, as I mentioned, I'm going to Minnesota, and it's a business professional mastermind. I have to carry around my suits and everything like that. It'd be so cool because I'm only going for 2 days that I can just put one jacket, a couple of dress shirts in there, fold it up, iron it when I get there, carry one bag, right? I'm not like my wife where I need 2 suitcases for everything. I'm a simple guy. So I feel like that bag right there where I could put my shoes in there, wear the shoes that I have in here, essentially put my suits, my pants, my dress shirt, and then whatever else that I need to put in there. One bag, call it a day. I don't have to hawk around, I forgot what that thing is called. What
The
is that
garment
called again?
bag.
The garment
Hangers
bag.
are.
Thank you. I have to hawk that over my shoulder. And that's
Yeah.
amazing. I love that just there. And then I also want to make my bags that I've had for a long time are leather. They look nice. They're great. But what people understand is real leather, it cracks, it breaks, it wrinkles. If you're not storing it and taking care of it, it looks terrible after a while. It feels like that. I don't know how long you've had that when it looks brand spanking new. It feels like that and that material would last for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. That is exactly why we wanted to build this product for those exact days, trips, outings that you mentioned, the one you have coming up. Exactly that. You can pack, you wear the clothes you have on, you can pack a change of outfit, a couple changes of outfits, shoes, and then store your student stuff in that garment bag, and it's just going to preserve just one bag, and it will keep it pretty wrinkle free. I mean, you obviously with any garment bag, you might want to steam it or iron it when you get there, but it will definitely keep you organized, and it'll certainly keep you from carrying multiple bags. So you hit the nail on the head there. Material wise, same thing. We wanted something new school and cool and contemporary. When we did our initial mood boardings and stuff, like Apple was one, or Tesla, or just something a little bit more contemporary. Maybe one day we'll have that a pebble leather or a cool new school leather, but our material, it holds up really well. We've continuously improved it, working with different suppliers too, to get a really good leather that's matte to the touch. It doesn't feel like plastic or anything, but it's waterproof, and it holds up, despite travel and day-to-day use.
Okay, so now we get to the fun stuff here, the entrepreneur, the business owner stuff. 95% of our demographic are men, which is, you kind of hit the nail of everybody. I can't imagine, not plenty of people buying your bags, which is great, especially me. I already wrote down the site and I'm excited. So this has been 8 years. The last 18 months, you guys have both quit your jobs. Congratulations. And you've been focusing on this company. What is the best way to market this company? We feel like the last, 2 years of talking on this podcast, it's been social influence, right? People who have big followings, and then also live auction sales. Have you experienced any of these? What, in your opinion, is the best way to market, what you're currently doing?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that we're continuously trying to solve every day. I just got off an hour-long call with Sander about looking at 2026 and how we're going to continue scaling and how we're going to continue scaling profitably. Because with a product like ours, it's a high-ticket item, and it's an item that it's not subscription, it's not consumables. It's an item that when you buy one, you're probably not going to. Hopefully, the bag is going to last you more than a couple months. You're going to buy it, and you're going to have it for 3+ years. So not only are we looking for ways to scale, but we're also looking for ways to scale profitably, because we have to be, and that's a little bit different than a lot of other companies that exist in today's age. So the other challenge we've faced is it's a pro. We have fully bootstrapped the company. We still own it 50-50 outright, and we haven't raised any funds for marketing. So it's all been just hustle, guerrilla marketing efforts, and then a lot of, I would say the majority of our marketing spend is on Meta and Google. The reason being because those dollars we can see immediately if they're turning sales and if they're profitable. Whereas if we did a big brand activation or a partnership, it's going to create a halo effect for sure, but you might not see the benefits or the return on those dollars for months, if not a year. So what, one angle that we approached really from the beginning, and I think we were surprised even how quickly we got traction, but being two guys, really good friends, born and raised in New York City, sports has always been in kind of the forefront of our friendship. We're huge Giants fans, Yankees, any New York sports team and beyond. And athletes, given how much they travel, they've always been kind of a little outlet for us in terms of marketing. We thought this bag would be great for athletes who are constantly, they're professional travelers. They're constantly taking overnight trips. They need a suit. They usually want to look good. They want to stay organized, etc. Like this bag, one day we'd love to see it in some athletes' hands. And that happened way faster than we anticipated. And I'm happy to jump into the story there, but it's been getting the bag into the hands of, like you said, social, like influential people has been great for us, especially in the world of sports. I wouldn't say that our core demographic is professional sports players, but they do serve as an amazing tip of the spear, because when our target demo sees them on our website, sees them in ads using the bag, vouching for it, and all of this has actually been organic. We haven't paid $1 in endorsements, not because I don't think it's a good idea, but we haven't had the capital to do so. But it's helped shape a way more authentic story with these ambassadors, or as we call them, our ambassadors. And that's a way we've been really able to market to the masses, especially Bootstrapped.
Ambassadors, I like that. To be honest, I think doubling down and sticking to that demographic, as well as obviously, business owners, entrepreneurs, people who travel a lot, which I'm assuming that's what your focus is on, the meta ads and the Google ads. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The longer you can do this organically, the better, more authentic you're going to get. But yeah, from what we've seen, the social influence game, people who have millions of followers, this is essentially the way that we're drifting towards. And what's really, really massive is the live auction sales, TikTok, whatnot, Instagram selling. It's shocking the way that it's turning, but people are tuning in on their phones with intentions to buy. And if they see a good product and it's moving, maybe worth that avenue to explore as well.
I love that. Yeah, that one has not been as much on our radar, but absolutely are gonna put it on the list of things to dive into, because it sounds like it has a ton of potential.
Yeah, especially if you demand high quality, that's essentially what people are looking for. I've seen, high auction like Nikes and things like that sell for just bonkers, even more for what their retail is even going for. But anyways, back to this. So you guys are essentially focusing obviously on growth and pushing more. What about products? Are you guys planning on increasing the product line out there?
Yeah, another great question. So when we started, our hero product was the FTL Original, which now we have renamed the FTL Pro. I think the feedback off the bat was love the bag, love the aesthetic, love the functionality. It's great for travel. It's a personal item. So whether I take it by itself or on top of a carry-on, it's great. But for that day-to-day use where you're just going from the gym to the office, it's just a little bit too big. Like, okay, that's great. I think the next logical step then would be to develop a cousin of the FTL Pro, or a sibling even, which we did last year, the FTL Lite. We launched it on a smaller scale just to really get proof of concept, and had a ton of traction, and brought it back this year, full production scale. And we've been selling that. And then on top of that, we have, I would say, the other sibling of the FTL Pro, with the rationale being that some people are like, I don't need the garment bag. I don't need the packing cubes. I'm just a throw my stuff in the bag and go type of guy, which is totally fair. I have a little of like OCD tendencies, and I like to pack everything up. And so this bag helps me. And Xander jokes he's the complete opposite. Like, he's so disorganized, he'd say. So this bag helps him too. But, some people just wanted to put it in a normal traditional duffel bag and hit the road. So we developed the FTL Max, which is basically the bag that I showed you, but no garment bag, no packing cube, just a bigger main interior pocket. Next year, I think we are going to continue building out our line of products. Advice we've been given from many people is like, once you have one product and you have product market fit and you're able to sell it, like, focus on that, which we took that advice to heart and have done that for the last 3 years, because you don't want to spread yourself too thin. You don't want to start migrating into other lines of products before you know your customer and know how to market them. And all of a sudden you're burning money on inventory and you're trying to figure out how to sell them and you can't. But we think we've come to a little bit of an inflection point where it makes sense to break into other audiences with other products. So next year, we've already started doing some research, interviews, product development on a backpack, hoping to bring that to market probably mid next year. And then either in parallel or shortly thereafter, a hard case roller luggage bag to be another complement to the product. Like currently, I'll take my FTL and just smack it right on the handle of the roller bag that I have, and it's great. So we think it'd be another really good complementary product.
Both great ideas. Both used in my household too, and they're definitely complementary to each other. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
So I'm curious, man. At this point, because you guys have gotten a good bit of momentum, you guys are clearly building something that's great. At this point, where are you guys at in business? How many employees? How big are you guys? Like, tell us a little about that journey. I'd love to get into the I don't know what we would call this, the meat or the mechanics behind it.
The operate.
The nitty gritty.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's such a pivotal question that like founders and again, like this is still such new territory to us, but I would assume that founders deal with like every day. I on one side, like you want to be working on the business, thinking long-term, how are we going to advance this forward? The high leverage stuff, whether that be partnerships, sales, distribution, et cetera. But then there's also working in the business, which is in our world, customers reaching out. Hey, I need to change my address. Can you make this change for me? Hey, I want to get the smaller one, not the bigger one. I want to change the color. Where's my address? UPS lost my package. A million little things. And what's crazy is that these nuances don't help advance the business. So you don't want to work on them. But at the same time, if you don't tend to them, they could easily tank the business, because some customers, if they don't hear from you within minutes, which I get, you get a 1-star review and all of a sudden it just changes everything. So the biggest kind of boulder that we had when we did our planning this year was getting some assistance in working like in the day-to-day, so we could kind of return to, and you don't want to give it up either, because it's your baby and you want to make sure that every customer gets top tier feedback and gets heard from. So this year was really all about, for us, building the operations behind the business so we could free up a little bit of our time. So that was kind of the impetus for, I guess, the answer to your question. So right now, full time, it's just Xander and myself. Left our jobs about 18 months ago. We work with a number of freelancers and contractors month over month. It's just been a model that has worked for both parties. We are probably not at the stage, especially since we haven't raised capital, to hire W-2 employees. But I think next year it could certainly be in the equation from a product development standpoint, or bringing like our digital marketing in-house. But right now it's Xander and myself. We have a full-time customer service rep who's fantastic, who we hired through an agency. We pay them a monthly fee. We have somebody who helps us with like social media, marketing, et cetera. Her name's Ava. She's great. And then we have a couple other agencies / marketing partners helping us on the Meta and Google side, the email marketing. So that's kind of the model we've stood up. I'd also say that it was super important for us to do it all ourselves before we started hiring anybody. One, because again, like we didn't have the sales to support paying people, but also two, I think in hindsight, it proved to be like one of the most valuable things, because we're not the experts, and certainly not anymore, but one, we know the business the best. And two, at least when we're going through every report and looking at the performance, like we can actually understand what's going on ourselves and have that help guide kind of next steps and whatever decisions we make with our partners.
I like it. So here's a question that I got. You guys, actually, much like me, I launched my entrepreneurship journey during COVID. You guys were also getting things figured out in COVID. I saw that you guys had your most difficult part of the journey, trying to source materials, figure all that stuff out. And I'm always fascinated, because there are a lot of CPG founders out there, and there are probably people that even want to get into it but don't know how. What can you get into a little bit more around what it actually takes to be someone who is capable of sourcing good materials? What does the process look like? Like, how do you guys wind up finding the right places to talk to? You don't have to go into this minute details of like who your manufacturers are, but like, what does it take to actually go through that process from like finding product, testing it? How do you know you're not getting screwed? How do you develop these relationships? Like, just give an aspiring founder a little bit of what you did.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's like the hardest part. Starting is the hardest part. I think the reason, as I alluded to a little bit earlier in the conversation, is like why we did this was I had a creative itch. I liked work. I always loved what I was doing, and I loved the people I was working with, but I wanted something that I was working on that felt a little bit more fulfilling. So I was always thinking about ideas. I was like, what do I do? How do I start it? I think that's the hardest thing for any aspiring entrepreneur or CPG founder. So again, I won't get into every single thing, but the first thing I would say, and the first thing that we did is we thought about who in our networks, friends of friends, has done anything remotely similar. And fortunately, I had a good friend who she founded this company, Modern Picnic, which is in the bag space, more geared towards females, but a great company. And she was our first call, and she provided, the playbook and at least the high level kind of resources. Like what do you even do with this idea? So the first thing I would say is just think about who in your network or who you can be put in touch with or reach out to, that anybody who has any remote sense of like, and that could be me, if anyone's listening and they want to reach out, please, like, we love talking about it. So many people helped us along the way. We don't know everything by any means, but we know a little bit that could hopefully help somebody who's trying to get, where we got in 2 years to do it in 6 months. But anyway, I would say, think about that. If it's CPG, anyone in the CPG space, they'll be able to point you in some sort of right direction. And then from there, you have a little bit of the playbook. I think AI has also like completely expedited everything, no matter what you're doing. I think when we think back to like our first tech bag, so essentially we had all these drawings of our bags on note cards and post-it notes and notebooks and whatever it was. And the next step was taking that to a true designer to go make a tech pack, which is essentially the blueprint for our bag. And that was what we were able to send out to factories. Again, I think in doing that now, I think there are probably tools out there that could do that much faster, which is crazy and probably a little bit more cost effective. But again, this was 6 years ago. So after that, it was really just hustling and staying motivated to find the right partners. We took that tech pack. We started reaching out to people in New York at overseas, and overseas was a way more, economic option for us rather than just going in New York. So we sent it to a couple of factories. One got back. They sent us back like our first sample 6 months later. That was like, you'd laugh if you saw it, but it is still like our product. It was just like in a purple canvas bag with like some compartments backwards, but we had it. We had something in our hands. And the way I would describe it is just kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like, you're always going to be trying to improve it. You're always going to be trying to hit that next milestone, that next sample that's going to give you the fuel to go a little bit farther. But at the end of the day, it's just building those relationships over time. I think you have to know that this stuff just doesn't happen overnight, and you got to just continue stacking up the small wins to propel you to get to that next step to keep going.
I got a current events question for you. Based on, you've been dealing with nightmares since COVID with supply chain and product, I'm sure. Based on today's economy, right, and the tariffs and all this other good stuff, is there something in that has impacted the way you've been building your brand? Is there pivots you guys have had to make? Do you feel like it hasn't really affected you? What's your take on this?
Sure. It's obviously something we're hyper aware of. I think especially as Trump got back into office and started coming out with all these increased tariffs, we certainly had a bunch of sleepless nights. Like, are we going to get stuck with inventory, with tax bills that we just had not planned for? Constantly coming up with contingency plans if things really, crap really did hit the fan. So given our scale, it's a factor that obviously is at play. We were fortunate in the time when the 90-day pause went into effect, and we were able to get a ton of inventory over during that pause, which was, huge. we were also lucky in that when the 145% tariffs that he came out with, we had a bunch of inventory here, so we had a little bit of time. But all in all, like, I think what we try to do is just like diversify and come up with contingency plans. So like, it's like, the old saying, like, control what you can control. Like, at the end of the day, we're not the only brand going through it. There's going to be decisions made that are going to impact us. And it's just about how much can we prepare? So to kind of give you an example, like, most of our production has been in China, as it is for, like, I would say the majority of this space. We, for the last, even prior to when Trump got back into office, we had already been kind of diversifying away from China, just because why not give yourself other options? So the factory that we've worked with was standing up a sister factory in Vietnam. We've looked into Cambodia, and we're also trying to get things closer to the States, Mexico, Dominican Republic. So constantly just looking for ways to diversify. So if we are stuck in a really crappy position, we have some sort of contingency plan. But again, I just bring it back to, like, control what you can control. It adds stress for sure, but, like, at the end of the day, you just got to do whatever you can to prepare.
Yeah, go ahead, Shane. Did you have something?
I just as far as a comment, I think most of those tariffs these countries have been planning for a while. Like, if you talk to China, most of their companies and factories that they've been building have been in Mexico and South America. I feel like a lot of their distribution centers have been transitioning there. So, which obviously those tariffs in, Mexico and South America are nothing there. So I'm glad that you're expanding and looking out. And to be honest, I think those sleepless nights help you grow as an actual person, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. That's what an entrepreneur is. You're backed in a corner. Let's fucking figure it out.
Absolutely.
That was it. I just wanted to comment onto it.
I love it.
Shane's the hype man.
I love it. It's true. That is like, it's not, it just, I knew this was not going to be easy, but, like, it really is high highs and low lows, and the highs are amazing. Like, no way around, like, no and ifs or buts, like, about that. Like, they're great. And also, like, share them with, one of my best friends is awesome. The lows all suck. There's, like, no way around it. They're scary. With the tariffs is a perfect example. When these came, we're, like, looking at our numbers. We're like, all right, well, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to just, like, only sell, like, to European countries? Are we going to, like, this just doesn't work. The numbers just don't work like this. And there's been plenty other lows and other scary calls. But Shane, exactly like you said, I think that's, like, my biggest takeaway of this whole thing. It's like, that's where you put your heads together and you figure it out, because you don't really have another option. And when you come out of it, which you will, you look back and you're like, damn, like, we got better. Like, we got way better for this.
I mean, everything you just said is the only way entrepreneurs think. There isn't another option. We're going to figure this out. We're going to overcome this. This is it. We're not going to go back to a corporate life, right? Is that a last resort? Sure, but I'm not even thinking of that. What can we do? Let's figure this out. That's the only option entrepreneurs think. For 18 months, I mean, you guys have been doing this for 8 years now, or I think 8 years now, but for 18 months at entrepreneurship, it took me a long time to figure that mindset out. So
everything is figure outable. That's the term.
If you believe in it enough, you'll figure out a way to make it work, because there's no other option.
100%. So Ryan, I got like one more question before we get to the last questions. But I'm just curious, because especially for what you do, does diversification mean that you also have to consider, is it going to be sacrificing quality for, I don't want to say comfort, but for a level of security? Or do you find that diversification just could increase your costs, but it's whatever you're willing to do to continue to maintain a high quality product? Like, is there a scenario where you would say the costs are too much, but the brand has to live on, so we need to lower the quality of our products?
Yeah. And by diversification, you mean in terms of this conversation around, like, manufacturing, et cetera?
Yes, like, hey, the tariffs are
Sure.
too much. We've gotten all of our stuff from here, but now we got to go
Yeah.
here. And if we go there, that's going to increase our goods to the point that we won't even make margins, right? Like, what do you do in that scenario? Obviously, I'm
Yeah.
glad you're not there, but what would you see in a scenario like
Yeah.
that?
I think, and we've had to have these hard conversations. I think the non-starter is quality. So we've been faced with these hard conversations, obviously, in the last couple months. And I would say as a non-starter is the quality. I think once you start to compromise on quality, you are diluting your brand, you are diluting your product. And I think that's very hard to recover from. I mean, we've probably had now maybe like 10 production orders. And on one of them, there was a little issue where the zippers, which are all YKK zippers, like the best in the business, the gap on the zipper was a little too wide for whatever reason. And, it didn't like break, the bag wasn't broken or anything. It wasn't like it didn't compromise the functionality. You could fix it, but the little zipper handles were falling out. And obviously customers were like, hey, my zippers are falling out. Like I paid $250, $300 for this bag. Why are my zippers? And we had to basically, it took up all of our bandwidth to like go into the warehouse, get everything fixed so we could stop this problem, and customers sending them back, fix it, sending them out. And I think that was even a bad look. And I can't even imagine, God forbid, like things rip, things tear because you had to come down on cost. Mm-hmm. So I think, we've spent 6 years trying to build a really good brand and a really good quality. And I think that it's like the reputation, build takes a lifetime to build, a day a ruin, or whatever the saying is. Mm-hmm. I think that's the same thing here. So I think that would be the absolute last resort. I think we'd sooner shut things down before we started selling products that we didn't believe in. I think the route that we were considering was like, we have to raise our price because, when we're looking at our cost of goods that are X, now all of a sudden we have these tariffs to pay and they're X plus Y. And if that all comes to fruition, then like our economics are just not going to work. And like, again, this was probably like last scenario B was raising prices because the bags it's not cheap. It's not a Toomey $1,000 bag, but it's an investment. And we didn't want to continue to pass on those costs to the customer. I think if there was no other way, I think I saw tons of companies raising their prices. We didn't do it. I want to avoid doing it. But again, it's going to eat into margin, and we have decent margins, but there's so many other costs associated with selling the bag, overhead, day-to-day marketing, etc. Like you got to preserve it too. So, look, it's tough. And again, I think we've been fortunate in that the factories that we've gone to diversify, like they have been able to get us, we'll look at samples all day long and make sure that they're up to the same quality standards as the bags that we've been selling for the last few years. And sometimes we'll diversify, and a factory will send us the bag back and be like, this bag feels even better somehow. Like, and the cost is a couple dollars less. So I think the name of the game is just preparing and diversifying as much as you can, obviously not coming down on quality and trying your best not to share any cost with the customer.
I love it.
I want to mention something about that. My company is a service-based company that we continue providing this service, right? My virtual assistant services. We've increased our prices 6 times in the last 6 years. And that is also to recurring customers that are continuing to pay us. And the reason why is because the economy continues to go up, right? Interest rates continue to go up. Cost of living continues to go up. The cost of business, right? If I want to bring better quality in, better management in, better services in, better production in, that costs money. Don't be afraid to increase your prices. I think it's totally fine to, talk to the people that mean the most to you and saying, hey, if we did a 10% increase, which would dramatically increase your margins, would you pay for this? Would you pay for this quality bag? And normally 10% increase is your safety net. No problem. Absolutely, I'd pay for that because I believe in the product. I believe in the quality. I believe in the company, and I'll be a repeat business owner.
Yep. I think it's a great point.
Business coaching by Shane 101. All right. Ryan, after that final question, I've got the final questions for you, the actual ones, not the perceived ones. Real quick, we got three big questions we like to ask at the end of this. So one is, name of our podcast is the 1% Podcast. It's all about not being a 1%er in the sense that you have to be a billionaire, but 1%er in the sense that you are building something unique, different, and a cut above the rest of the things in the world. So what is your version of a 1% life with our definition in mind?
Yeah, I love the meaning behind that. That's great. And I think it really aligns with the reason why Xander and I decided to quit our jobs and do FTL. I think part of it sure was like, monetary, like, can we build something that provides for ourselves and hopefully families and whatever for the long haul. But I think there was way more behind that. And that was, can we build something that is ours and that we believe in that will hopefully impact others in a significant way, that we have, that complete fulfillment from. So, what is like the 1%? By your definition, to me, that is, really the reason why we left our jobs. Take a risk for something that we believed in, do life a little bit differently than the vast majority of people, not because we think it's better or worse, but because that's what we wanted to do. When we look back, hopefully one day, whether FTL is still around or whether we decide to do something else, we'll look back and be like, hey, we gave it everything we got and we learned so much and we had all these incredible memories and hopefully, we're kicking our feet up because it all went well. But if not, I still know I'll look back and just be like, I learned more than I could ever imagined. I gave it everything I had and I'll probably, hopefully still be okay somehow. And, learn more than I ever could have imagined in the meantime and have just no regrets. So I think that's how I'd sum it up. No regrets. Look back one day and be like, no regrets. I did it.
I love it. It reminds me of that freaking, I can't remember that movie. Whenever somebody says no regrets, it reminds me of that movie where the guy tattooed it and says no regrets, huh? Not even
a letter. I think it's
no regrets.
What was it? Meet the Fockers, I want to say.
No, I think it's Vacation.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It says no regrets. Not even a letter, huh?
So true. I do also think of that.
I hope all of the listeners are thinking of the same thing now. Awesome, man. I love the take on it, though. Question number 2. You've been in entrepreneurship for a little while. Hopefully you've had some great people in your life to pour into you. And the question that I have here is, what is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received that you want to share with the audience?
One of the best pieces of advice I've received. I think one of our mentors and kind of advisors a while told us to focus on that. I think I alluded to it in this call, but I want to reiterate it because I think it's so important and it's helped kind of guide us. I think really just celebrating and stacking the small wins is incredibly important. I think, we obviously live in a world where there's like instant gratification and dopamine spikes and, everyone's looking for kind of the next thing. And I don't think there are any shortcuts to entrepreneurship. Like, you're in it for the long haul. If you weren't, way more people would probably be doing it. And with that comes like a lot of like tough days and battles. And it was really even hard the first couple of years because the only thing we had to look forward to was just like a sample arriving. And then we get it. We'd be so fired up. We'd like send the feedback and be like, 3 months until like I get home from work and I get another sample. And it was, I think 3 or 4 years until we made like our first dollar in sales. And I think with any entrepreneurial endeavor, I mean, anything in life, I think, while you don't want to just chase that like constant dopamine, I do think it is important to just like remember, that you want to celebrate each milestone because that's what's going to kind of fuel you to the next milestone. And then you also don't want to lose sight of like all you've been able to accomplish. So like, for us looking back 6 years, like I used to get so fired up when that new sample came. And now it's like, I'm worried about the next thing. But I think it's important not to lose sight of all those small wins that got you there and continue to celebrate them. And you don't have to dwell on them forever and say this is it and hang it up. But I think just cherish it for a second, soak it in like, hey, I did this. I didn't think I was going to get here. and then let that propel you to the next one.
I love it. All right, Ryan, final question, probably most important. Where can people find you? How can they connect with you? Where can they go get your amazing products? Shout yourself and your company out.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. This has been an absolute blast and really honored to be a part of the 1% podcast. Really fun to be, chatting up with you guys. So to anybody listening, you can find us at FTL Bags. Again, stands for the love, ftlbags.com. We're running some holiday discounts now for perfect gift giving, or you're looking to upgrade your bag. Definitely take a look at our website. If you want a little bit more about our brand and kind of the stuff we're doing day to day, you can check us out on Instagram at FTL Bags. We're also on Amazon. We just launched on Amazon, which has been fun testing that out. So if you're an Amazon shopper, fire it up there. But again, I think you get the best sense of us at ftlbags.com. And take advantage of those holiday discounts and share the gift of bags for some loved ones.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, we're all grabbing one, dude. It's happening. Guys, go check out Ryan's stuff. Make sure, you're not going to be disappointed. He's got, you go look at his website. It's just a Hall of Fame lineup there. He's got athletes all over holding his bags. And he didn't mention this because he's too humble, but he could even customize your bag. Go get your name on it, get your logo on it, go get some cool crap on it. Like, make it your own freaking awesome, high quality bag. You'll be the coolest one out of your friends. I guarantee it. And he didn't pay me to say this. He just sent me a bag for free. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't. I genuinely love his bags. With that being said, though, Ryan, thanks so much for coming on, man. Stick around for a minute after the show. We got another thing to talk to you about, and we appreciate you being here and sharing some really cool stuff about what you've been building and how you've done it. So, guys, there you have it. Please like, share, follow, subscribe, comment. Join us for another episode of the 1% podcast. I'm your host, Vin End.
And I'm Shane.
And that was Ryan, everybody. See ya.
Bye, guys.